What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to FBA Capital. And today I'm bringing you guys another daily range case study on none other than NAS100. And I'm going to be doing the daily range for Wednesday, November 2nd, Thursday, November 3rd, and Friday, November 4th. So it might be a little bit of a longer video, so just stick tight. I'm going to try to make it as beneficial as possible. So with that being said, let's just get right on into the daily range. We're going to start off by marking up the previous day's highs and previous day's lows, as we always do. Previous day's high, previous day's low. And I did that a little bit backwards. Previous day's lows right here, previous day's high, previous day's low. Then we're going to get the Asian session range that I always draw from 18 o'clock all the way to midnight. And midnight is going to be 000 if you're using UTC 4. And this is going to be 12 a.m. for New York time, so Eastern Standard Time. Then after we got the previous day's high, previous day's low, and then we have the Asian session range, we're going to mark up the 12 a.m. open right here. Now that we have this, you can kind of see the whole range, and I want you guys to pay attention to a few areas in price. For example, I want you to pay attention to here, 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 and down here. Right there. That low. Right there. So now that we have that, I'm going to briefly explain why I marked up all the areas that I did. So for starters, I'm going to do this check real quick. Yes, it did. This arrow right here, why is this important? So you may be wondering why that arrow is important. If you look to the left, we have this Asian session high to the left. Now, why is that important? Because I always mark up the Asian session high. I always mark up the Asian session for a reason, because I like to see how price reacts after we clear the high or low of this area. And as you can see, at 4:15 in the morning, London session ran the Asian session high. And then from here, price had a major drop off of about, from what price is this, 350 all the way down to 650. So which is about almost 300 points. That's almost a 300 point drop just from this high to here. That's not 300, that's about 180. Didn't do the math right. But you get the idea. So now I'm going to annotate this area here. So at 4:15 a.m., the Asian range high, I ran. And I like to know this because this is going to be something that you could potentially look to catch any day of the week if this does happen, because this is a simple confirmation. Price ran this low, and also I'm going to be pulling a fib from this high of the previous day to this low and move it over. Okay, in this case, I was going to see if it lined up with a 38.20% fib level, but in this case, it didn't. So this is going to be the only confirmation that we're going to have for this area right here. Boom. And then we're going to simply, boom, we're going to start looking at this next area right here. So for starters, this is the high. This was the high of the day before we got this high. So this is why this area is important. We ran the Asian session high at 4:15 in the morning, and we were also right above the 12 a.m. open. I forgot to put that, 12 a.m. open. Above the 12 a.m. open, just right there. So next area we're going to look at is right down here. Why did I say this area was going to be important? So for one, right here, this long candle is a candle that ran the Asian session low. As you can see, we did have a reaction with this one wick of this candle. After we ran that low, price had a wick and we started to push up a little bit, but then price ended up running lower and then doing what? It ended up running the previous day's low. And at this point, this is when you would start to realize that price is more than likely going to remain bearish. Why? Because the previous day's low got ran through and we're significantly far away from the previous day's high. So more than likely, yesterday was bearish. Today's going to continue bearish just because we ran that previous day's low. Now look, we ran that low and then price came all the way down and we ended up creating this low in price around this 11,200 area. So right at 11,200, this is when price started to overall slowly slow down momentum wise, and then from here 12:30, so this is an afternoon move. Towards the afternoon, I think this is when FOMC was. This was FOMC, so that's why we have a lot of volume in here. But nonetheless, what happened? From here, the news came out, so FOMC news, I'm gonna put that as an annotation so I know that for the future. This is all FOMC news right here. Then from here, what happened? Price came down to this 11,200 area, and then we pushed above. Coming where? Simply, what am I going to do now? That fib that I drew earlier that didn't work, I'm going to simply draw a new one from the same previous day's high, but instead of the previous day's low, we're going to draw it to this current low that was right here. And if you don't know where I drew it, from the previous day's high to this current low. Why this low? Why did I draw it from this low and not the previous day's low? Because at this point, this was new current low. So this one wouldn't be needed to use no more because we already ran the previous day's low right here. Came down, made a new low, so that's where I would have drew the fib. And as you can see, what happened? Price ran up, ran this London session high, and we tapped into this fib, and we also tapped into 11,400 big figure level at what time? For 1:30. So 1:30. So let's annotate that. And that was the high of the day. So we have the high of the day at 1:30 p.m. after price ran into the fib short, along with ran London high. And then we also had the 11,400 big figure level. So this is what then led price to overall have this big reversal in price that had this big drop off. Then where did we end up coming down to? We ended up closing around this 10,900 area at what time? 18, which is, I wouldn't say 18 to 7 o'clock. I'm gonna say 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. I'm not 100% sure. Military time, you confused me, but 7 p.m. we had the low of the day at 10,900 right there. So for the most part, this was a bearish New York reversal. I'm gonna try to get everything on the screen for you so you can kind of see it all without it being too scrunched up. Get rid of this down here. Can we move this down any lower? Okay, but you can see that for the most part, this is what happened today. I'm gonna draw a little bit of a schematic. We have the Asian session ranged, then we had the high get ran before we had a big drop off, and then from that drop off, we ran and cleared that high, and then continued bearish. So it was a bearish New York reversal, like I said. High of the day was made pretty late in the day, around 1:30 p.m. So I think my camera is a little bit delayed too. Hold on. Okay, I think is it good? I don't even know. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's good now. Don't know why I was doing that, but there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna screenshot this, and I recommend you guys screenshot it also to put this in the daily range case study journal. So now that we got that done, we're going to move on to the next one. But first, I'm about to put that screenshot down, and we're gonna move on to the next one. So this is November 2nd, Wednesday, daily range complete. We're going to move on to Thursday now. So Thursday is right here. Thursday, there wasn't as much compared to Tuesday. Well, Wednesday, my bad. But we're still going to overall do the daily range for it so you guys can get a good idea of what's going on and the differences. So we're going to do what we did before, previous day's high. We're going to mark out the previous day's low. It's a very simple thing I always do. I mark up the same areas because I'm looking for these areas that have specific reactions. I don't mark these areas up for no reason. I mark these areas up because I want to see how price reacts at these areas of interest. So now that I got that, boom, get the 12 a.m. open, and now we're back to the same thing. Let's overall look at a few areas I want you guys to pay attention to. I want you to pay attention to this high, this low, this high, and this low. It's going to be more of a simple one, but look, confirmation that we already went over. Look, Asian session high got ran at 1:15 in the morning. Look where we are price wise. We are at 10,950 mid-figure level. So at 10,950, we ran the Asian session high at 1:30 in the morning. And we also, if you look to the left, we filled in that fair value gap that was right here also. Right in here. It's probably going to be hard to see, but that fair value gap got fully filled in. So let's annotate that. And mind you, this is a confirmation that we just seen. We seen this happen on the previous daily range. We ran that Asian session high during London session, and then we had a major drop off. Look at this. From 10,950, we had a drop down all the way to 10,750. That's 200 points. 200 just based off a simple confirmation. Let's annotate it. 1:15 a.m. we got the high of the day at 10,950 mid-fig along with Asian range high got ran, along with the 15-minute fair value got filled in. And we were also above the 12 a.m. open. Look at all those confirmations for this area and price that ended up being the high of the day. Then from here, what happened? Price ended up running down, targeting the Asian session low and previous day's low. So let me annotate that. Previous day's low and Asian range low targeted. Boom. Previous day's low targeted and Asian range low targeted. And then what time was that? That was around 4:45 in the morning. We had a little bit of a reaction. As you can see, it wasn't long term, but price started to reject from here. Went higher. Boom. Had another drop off. So this is all from the same London session move. Price just continued to drop off all the way until we got to around the 700 level down here. So we made this low. I'm not even going to annotate this low, matter of fact, but we ended up making this low at 9:30 in the morning. From here, we had a push. Now this is where you could have been able to capitalize on that down move once again. Boom. We're going to look at the regular fib levels. And if you don't know where I drew the fib from this London session high, which is the current high of the day, and then this low, which was the last low before the major push at 9:30. Then what happened? Price pushed up into this area, tapped into the 38, not the 38, tapped into 62% on the fib. And then we also, what else do we have? We tapped right into another mid-figure level. So this is the second mid-figure price traded off of today. We traded off of 950, and now we're trading off of 850. So let's annotate this. And also, what time did this happen? At 11 a.m. So at 11 a.m., we had 10,850 mid-figure projection, along with the fib short rejection. And then from here, price ended up continuing to drop, continuing the overall trend, targeted this low to the left, and then we ended up creating this low of the day. I don't want to say at 650, but we did come close, but we ended up just creating the low of the day at 7 p.m. I'm just going to annotate at 7 p.m. because there's not really other confirmation. So at 7 p.m. we got that low of the day. And then from here, price kind of just floated up a little bit, came back above that 700 area. But for the most part, it was a simple bearish day, in my opinion. The majority of the moves were bearish, and you would have been able to catch the best moves if you were bearish. Any bull buy trades, you could have made move at 9:30, but it wouldn't have been a long-term move. So let's basically, I'm gonna get the schematic. We had the Eastern session range. Same thing as yesterday. Ran the Eastern session high, but this time, price just continued to run lower after running the Eastern session high. Now imagine if you would have been able to get that London session high, just anticipating that price was going to potentially keep running lower. Now mind you, could have had a situation like yesterday where you did catch that reversal at Asian session high and then it did run back up, but overall that's not always going to happen. And as you can see, there's going to be times like this where you're actually going to be able to capitalize on that full move. So with that being said, I'm going to put this in the Telegram. Also make sure you screenshot this if you haven't already. And now we're going to move on to the last daily range case study, which is going to be for Friday. And Friday was NFP this week. So with that being said, that is why price is going to look a little choppier than what it usually does. But nonetheless, there was still moves in here that you could have capitalized off of. So now we're going to annotate previous day's high. We got previous day's low. We got the Eastern session range, 18 o'clock all the way to midnight. And you guys should already know by now why I do that. Then we're going to get the 12 a.m. open, which is going to be right here. Boom. Now there's a few areas in price I want you guys to pay attention to. For example, this high, this low, and this low right here. And matter of fact, I want you guys to also pay attention to okay, I'll go as I go. But as we can see, when price opened, we got a run above price. We cleared the Asian session high, and we had a small retracement. But from here, price kind of was just remaining in this consolidation. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a fib from this previous day's low to here. As you can see, I'm just trying to see if there was any areas that price did have a reaction. Okay, so as you can see, here's where we ended up getting that little reaction. So this wasn't a major move though, so I'm not even gonna annotate this. I only like to annotate things that end up being moved. So even though this data rejected 38.20%, this wasn't a major move in my opinion. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna annotate it like this. This I want you guys to see. I want you to look at it just like this. So when price opened, this was all on this session. We kind of were just remaining consolidating until 8:30. 8:30, this is when we got that NFP. NFP then did what? We ended up running below, clearing the London session low, and then clearing the previous day's low, making the low of the day after price traded into a 10,600 big figure level. So let's annotate all that. And this all happened at 8:30. So we have the low of the day at 8:30 a.m. I'm going to put in NFP. We had 10,600 get a reaction and a rejection. We also targeted the previous day's low and London low. Let me fix this spelling. London low, and we targeted the previous day's low, and we're also below the 12 a.m. open. So we're below the 12 a.m. open for a discounted price. And also keep in mind, we were above the open this whole time. We were trading above the open until 8:30 when we ran below, giving us a good area to start looking to buy. And then from here, this is when price had this big move to the top side. And one thing you can do is I'm going to pull a fib from this previous day's low to this current day, well, previous day's low. I'm going to pull that fib. You did see we did have this reaction here. Now, even though it isn't the cleanest reaction, if you simply maybe, I don't know, it's going to be a little bit choppy. You guys got to keep in mind, not everything is going to be perfect, but for the most part, this ended up still staying within this range. And if you don't know where I pulled that fib, I simply pulled the fib from the previous day's high to the previous day's low. And the reason I was a little bit confused